Baruch Shabbat Yom, brothers and sisters, Hebrews in Jamaica, the Caribbeans, the West, to the four corners of the earth, scattered greetings. This Shabbat lesson, we're going to title it, The Land of Benyamin, the importance of Yisra'El in the last days. The land of Benyamin, the importance to ethnic Yisra'El in the last days, brothers and sisters. Right? Take a look at the screen. Right? We're going to start from Bereshit 49:27. That's Bereshit 49:27. Right? Bereshit 49:27. Yaakov blessing. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he devours the prey, and in the evening he divides the spoil. Right? Deuteronomy 33:12. O Benjamin, he said, may the beloved of Yahuwah dwell in security by him who shields him all the day, and he dwells between his shoulders. Right? So his shoulders is talking about the mountains. Right? Benjamin land is nest between the mountains, just like Jerusalem is surrounded by mountains. Right? That's how you know the true Jerusalem, surrounded by mountains. Right? And if you look at the screen, you will see a image, a picture of the land of Benyamin, the land of Benjamin, right, brothers and sisters? As you clearly see, you see the mountains surrounding it, right? These images is taken from Yisra'El _history _of.com/tribe of Benjamin. Right, brothers and sisters? Okay, so let's get into it, right? The land allotment. The heart and soul of life in Yisra'El was primarily centered within and around the boundaries of the tribe of Benyamin. To the north lay what would become the northern kingdom of Israel. To the south, by the heartland of Yehuda, the tribe of Dan with the Negus. Benjamin straddled in the middle. Right, brothers and sisters? If you take a look at the screen, you see this image. Right? As you can see on this map, brothers and sisters, you see Ephraim, Dan, Yehuda, Simeon, Gad, Reuben, and then next in between, you see Benjamin, right? Surrounded by his brothers, right? Benjamin, right, brothers and sisters? Tribe of the first king of Israel, King Saul, the tribe of Benjamin, and the tribe of Yehuda are the only two tribes which maintain a steady presence throughout all of the Bible. Right? So, right, but this is what I was saying, brothers and sisters. When certain people talk about the scattering of Israel, of the children of Judah, they always mention Judah. I mean, like I said, we understand that the head tribe is Judah, but for clarity's sake, right, brothers and sisters, is good to know that Benjamin was there. Benjamin was caught up in the slave trade, and Levi also, right? So it's counted as one tribe, Judah as the head, but it's really Judah and Benjamin coupled with Levi, because Levi again did not have an inheritance, physical inheritance, but it was among his brethren, among his brothers, right? So Benjamin was caught up also, and was taken to the Caribbeans and so forth, brothers and sisters, right? Coupled with Yehuda, right? Because in Jamaica, you have the tribe of Levi in Jamaica. And I did a video on that, right? The tribe of Levi in Jamaica. You can go back on my archives and watch that. You see, brothers and sisters, right? Right, brothers and sisters, so the two tribes steadfast maintained their stability in the region was Judah and Benjamin, right? Judah and Benjamin, right? Right, brothers and sisters? Including the New Testament, a central role. Yisra'el's rich past is reflected in the geography and location of a centralized allotment detailed in the annals of the Old Testament. The tribe of Benjamin received their allotment from Joshua after the Israelites' victory of the waters of Merom. With the fall and destruction by fire of Hazor, a great Canaanite stronghold, the north was open to the settlement. With this victory, the land had effectively been infiltrated from the south to the north, and though far from conquered, the Canaanite influence had been weakened significantly. Under the direction of Joshua, the congregation of Israel gathered at the sanctuary of Shiloh. The land recently conquered was meant to accommodate the northern tribes of Naphtali, Zebulun, Asher, and Issachar. The southern tribes of Simeon, Dan, and Benjamin had not received allotment at the previous gathering in Gilgal. This division had been given after the initial push into the south of Palestine after the Battle of Jericho. Thus, these three southern tribes were assigned lots as well during the meeting of Shiloh. Right? Right, brothers? But so you got to understand, brothers and sisters, right, that all these places that you see on the maps is in Northeast Africa, brothers and sisters. I just want to be perfectly clear about that. Everything you see happening in scriptures happen on the continent of Africa. Northeast Africa, brothers and sisters, right? So I just want to put that out there, right? The tribe of Benjamin received a stretch of land in a depression or saddle which stretched from Bethel south to Jerusalem. It merged with the boundary of Dan to the west and Jordan River to the east. It was a well-watered land except for on the eastern ridge portion. The land was fertile, located on the central plateau, which topped the western mountains of central Palestine. The eastern side plunged sharply into the Jordan Valley below. This portion of Benjamin was less hospitable. Right, brothers and sisters? If you take a look at this, the screen, you see a map of such, right? As you can see on this map, the 12 tribes of Israel and their allotment, brothers and sisters, right? And if you look close, highlighted, you see Benjamin nests right in the middle, right? The tribe of Benjamin occupied land just north of Jerusalem and centrally located within Canaan. Benjamin would eventually join Yehuda in the south and constitute the southern kingdom of Judah. It was the north-south boundary, brothers and sisters, right? Right, brothers and sisters. So you find Benjamin, you find Mount Zion, brothers and sisters, right? Benjamin, the land of Benjamin, is very important to us ethnic Israel in the last days. Right, brothers and sisters? Because there we shall gather the 144,000. Right? And we're going to build back the walls of Zion. Right, brothers and sisters? And the tabernacle of Dar within us. So the land of Benjamin is key to us, brothers and sisters. Right? Very key. The boundaries place the tribe of Benjamin between the powerful tribe of Ephraim to the north, right, and the equally powerful tribe of Judah to the south. The valley of Hanam or Gehinnom or Gehenna was the boundary between the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Yehuda. This placed Jerusalem as a city within the original allotment of the tribe of Benjamin. Let me repeat again. This placed Jerusalem as a city within the original allotment of the tribe of Benjamin. Let me repeat. This placed Jerusalem as a city within the original allotment of the tribe of Benjamin. The city would quickly become absorbed and adopted by the tribe of Yehuda, and indeed listed as a Judahite city in other town lists. Right? Right, brothers and sisters? And indeed listed as a Judahite city in another town list. The shifting allegiances and boundaries are common throughout Benjamin, right, or the Benjamin history. Indeed, the tribe of Benjamin would accommodate both Yisra'El of the north and Yehuda of the south throughout the Old Testament, brothers and sisters, right? Despite its small size, only 25 miles in length and 12 in width, the tribe of Benjamin enjoyed a very strategic land. The Central Ridge route, the main artery of north-south traffic through the western mountains, ran through Benjamin, as did important east-west routes, connecting Benjamin to the Transjordan in the east and the coast in the west, trade and caravans or caravan actually, brothers and sisters. Trade and caravan traveled continuously along these routes. After you look at the screen, brothers and sisters, you see an image, right? A map. Again, you see Benjamin nests right in between Ephraim and Yehuda. Then further to the left, and then you got Gad on top and Reuben. You see it, brothers and sisters. Simeon to the bottom, right? The links of communication from the north to the south of Israel pass directly through the tribe of Benjamin. Thus, in effect, the tribe of Benjamin connected Israel and Yehuda. Indeed, the frontier between the two kingdoms was the land of Benjamin. Right? Jews move freely through this area, as well be discussed despite the constant political strife and upheaval. The boundaries and the cities of the tribe of Benjamin are found primarily in Joshua 18, various passages in Judges and Isaiah 10, though reference abound regarding the tribe of Benjamin. From Bereshit, Genesis, to Revelation, Navid Naaman points out the town list in Isaiah who predates the list of cities found in Joshua 18, 21 to 28. Further details concerning these lists and dates will be given, brothers and sisters, right? In Joshua 18 offers two descriptions of the tribe of Benjamin. One is a broad geographical description of the borders as a whole, found in Joshua 18, 11 to 21. The second is a specific list of cities found within those borders, found in Joshua 18, 21 to 28. Interestingly, many scholars feel the two lists were composed at different times, though from a single earlier source, and combined to form this one passage. Many agree earlier of the two documents is the geographical border description found in verses 11 through 21, perhaps as early as the time of the judges. The date of the city list in the latter verses is a topic of some debate. Theories vary widely as to the date of composition and assembly to these early borders and city description. Nadiv, Naaman, and others agree that the list seems to come from different time periods, however likely came from a single source which dated from earlier times. Right, here's another map of Benjamin, brothers and sisters. As you can see, it's all in Africa. Naaman places the dating of the town list in Joshua 18, 21, 20 as being composed during the reign of Josiah, 639 to 609 BC. Other theories place the dating of the list much earlier. In his book, A History of Israel, author John Bright states the passages of Joshua 15 and Joshua 18 were probably constructed during the time of David the Negus. Bright says chapter 13 to 19 of Joshua reflects conditions of the period of the judges. Thus, though these lists were set down during the united monarchy of David, circa 1000 to 965 BC, they reflect the times of the judges some 100 to 200 years prior. Right, brothers and sisters? Tribal border of Benjamin. Nevertheless, the border description of the tribe of Benjamin occurs first in Joshua 18, 11 to 21. The border description starts at the ancient city of Jericho in verse 12. That's very key, brothers and sisters, right? The border on the north side was from the Jordan. Then the border went up to the side of Jericho on the north and went up through the hill country westward, and it ended at the wilderness of Beth-Heaven. So you see, brothers and sisters, we don't have just a small patch of land. We have vast acres of land, brothers and sisters, the Most High gave us, right, as an inheritance to feed his flock, right? The borders followed the road leading to Jericho to Ophrah, turning southward north of Ophrah and descending towards Bethel. The wilderness of Beth-Heaven would have incorporated much of this area, with the actual city of Beth-Heaven located a mere few miles east of Bethel. Nadiv Naaman stated the northern border followed the Bethel-Ophrah line, right? The northern border of Benjamin would come to constitute the northern frontier of the southern kingdom of Yehuda. It became the limit of the southern frontier of the northern kingdom of Yisra'El. Simply put, the land of Benjamin was the frontier between Yisra'El and Yehuda. It buffered the north from the south, and the Benjamite northern border was the very line of separation between the two kingdoms, much like the DMZ between North and South Korea today, brothers and sisters, right? Consequently, the loyalty of the tribe of Benjamin were always divided, and many skirmishes were fought along this frontier over the courses of its history. Only one major war was waged on the soil of Benjamin, though sporadic fighting occurred along the frontier, with both sides caught in a perpetual cycle of gaining, then subsequently losing ground. Right? Verses 13 continue with the border continuing to Luz, which is also Bethel. From Bethel, the border of the tribe of Benjamin turns southward to Ataroth Adar, near Lower Beth Haran. Though its identity not certain, Ataroth Adar is believed to have been located along the Central Ridge Road. Likewise, some cities on the maps given are questionable as to their location at best. Ataroth Adar, based on the map provided, would not seem to lie near the hill which lies on the south of Lower Beth Haran. Yet its proximity to Lower Bethel Haran is undeniable, though the exact locale may be in question. Verses 14 continue the border description to the tribe of Benjamin. If you look at the screen, here's a map, right? Benjamin city within the tribe of Benjamin, right? Benjamin city within the tribe of Benjamin, right, brothers and sisters? And the border extended from there and turned round on the west side, southward from the hill which lies before Beth Haran, southward, and it ended at Kirath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, a city of the sons of Judah. This was the west side. This verse is significant because it not only delineates the Benjamin's border to the west, but also delineates the eastern border from the tribe of Dan. The tribe of Dan's borders are scholars such as Nadav, Naaman have pointed out were determined after the borders of Judah, Benjamin, and Ephraim. Naaman states its borders presuppose the demarcation of its three neighbors. So as I'm saying, brothers and sisters, borders are very important. The Most High give us borders for a reason. So as everybody enjoy an inheritance, and there will be no infighting and greed. And this is the reason why you see fighting in this world today. Greed, brothers, is about greed. This one want more than what they're supposed to get. This one do not want to respect this one's border. This one don't want to respect this other man's border. So they go to fight over land that's not theirs. Just like now in the wars going on with those identity thieves over there, those fake Jews, right? And Palestine. You see, they're fighting over, both of them are fighting over land that's not even theirs in the first place. Nobody's mentioning the Afro-Palestinians, right? The Afro-Palestinians, you know what I mean, live on a strip of land called Al Abib. Do you know what Al Abib means, brothers and sisters? Land of the slaves. Let that sink in. Let that sink in, brothers and sisters. Right? Let that sink in. And the borders extended from there and turned round on the west side southward from the hill which lies before Beth Haran southward, and it ended at Kiryat Baal, that is Kiryat Yerim, a city of the sons of Yehuda. This was the west side. This verse is significant because it not only delineates the Benjaminite border to the west, but also delineates the eastern border from the tribe of Dan. The tribe of Dan borders are as the tribe of Dan's borders, as scholars such as Nadiv Naaman have pointed out, were determined after the borders of Judah, Benjamin, and Ephraim. Naaman states its borders presuppose the demarcation of its three neighbors. If you take a look at the screen, you'll see a map of that. Right, brothers and sisters? Dan's allot thus was the gap left by the borders of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, and the tribe of Ephraim. Right? In verse 15 through 19, give the southern borders of the tribe of Benjamin. Then the south side was from the edge of Kiryat Yerim, and the borders went westward and went to the fountain of the waters, Nephtoah, and the border went down to the edge of the hill which is in the valley of Ben Hanam, which is in the valley of Rephaim, northward, and it went down to the valley of Hanam. Rephaim is the valley of giants, brothers and sisters, right? And it went down to the valley of Hanam, to the slope of the Jebusite southward, and went down to En Rogel. Right? The cities will be discussed shortly, however. Jebus was the name of the city before Jerusalem. Thus, in this verse, the southern border of the Benjamin includes what will become Jerusalem in time. The southern border extends from Kiryat Yerim through the valley of the Rephaim, valley of giants. An interesting reminder of kings Og and Sihon, two giants, and the remnant of the Nephilim, brothers and sisters, from Numbers to the valley of Hanam, south of Jebus, brothers and sisters, right? And if you take a look at the screen, you will see an image or picture of the valley of Rephaim and Jerusalem to the furthest, right? The valley of Rephaim, brothers and sisters, and Jerusalem is right there, right? So you see the map of the valley of Rephaim southeast of Jerusalem. Brothers and sisters? This valley lay to the south of Jebus or Jebus. Thus the city was within the tribe of Benjamin and came to represent the line of demarcation between the tribe of Yehuda and Benjamin. The original city of Jebus was simply the stronghold and citadel seen on the map below, which the tribe of Benjamin failed to conquer. David drove out the Jebusites and expanded the original city of David, making it his capital. Thus, Jerusalem came to be identified with the tribes and the kingdom of Judah. Right, brothers and sisters? The description continues in verse 17. And it extended northward and went to En Shemesh and went to Gileath, which is opposite the ascent of Adummim. And it went down to the stone of Bohan, the son of Reuben, and it continued to the side in front of the Arabah, northward, and went down into the Arabah, and the border continued to the side of Beth Hogla, northward, and the border ended at the north bay of the South Sea at the south end of the Jordan. This was the south border. Right, brothers and sisters? And if you look, you see a map of the citadel, right? Look at the citadel, brothers and sisters. Take a look at the screen, brothers and sisters. Take a look at the screen. You will see an image, right? Citadel. That's in Jerusalem. What is a citadel, brothers and sisters? What the meaning of a citadel is? A fortress on high ground protecting or dominating a city. You see, brothers and sisters? The citadel, you got to understand, brothers and sisters, the citadel, right, is a fortress. That's what you call Mount Zion. Mount Zion is a fortress. You understand, brothers and sisters? And that's in Jerusalem, right? So let's go to the scriptures. So we were talking about the citadel, right, brothers and sisters? The fortress, the citadel, right? Take a look at the screen, brothers and sisters. 2 Samuel 5, right? Colon 78, right? 2 Samuel 5, colon 78. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion. The same is the city of David. And David said unto that day, whosoever giveth up to the gutter and smiteth the Jebusites and the lame and the blind that are hated of David, so he shall be chief of and captain. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion. The same is the city of David. And David said on that day, whosoever getteth up to the gutter and smiteth the Jebusite and the lame and the blind that are hated of David, so he shall be chief and captain. So what does stronghold mean, brothers and sisters? Stronghold of Zion mean? What does the stronghold of Zion mean, brothers and sisters? According to the book of Samuel, Mount Zion was the site of the Jebusite fortress. According to the book of Samuel, Mount Zion was the site of a Jebusite fortress called the stronghold of Zion that was conquered by King David, then renamed and partially rebuilt by him as the city of David, where he erected his palace. According to the book of Samuel, Mount Zion was the site of the Jebusite fortress. So Mount Zion is a fortress, right? According to the book of Samuel, Mount Zion was the site of the Jebusite fortress called the stronghold of Zion that was conquered by King David, then renamed and partially rebuilt by him as the city of David, where he erected his palace, brothers and sisters, right? Right, brothers and sisters, so we're still dealing with the citadel, right? So you got to understand the citadel. We're still dealing with the citadel, right? Let's turn to John. You're hacking in John 5, colon 1 to 2, right? You're hacking in John 5, colon 1 to 2, right? Okay, take a look at the screen, brothers and sisters, right? After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Yahusha went up to Jerusalem. And there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. Let me go over this again, brothers and sisters. Let me go over this again, right? You're 5 colon 1 to 2. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Yahusha went up to Jerusalem. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. Having 5 porches, brothers and sisters. In these lay a great multitude of important folk and blind halt withered, waiting for the moving of the water, right? Having 5 porches, in these lay a great multitude of impotent folk of blind halt withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then first after the troubling of the water stepped in was made whole, brothers and sisters, right? So this is the citadel before Mount Zion. You see, brothers and sisters, if you take a look at the screen, brothers and sisters, you will see some images, right? In Jerusalem, the 5 porches, and you see the 5 5 porches, right? 5 pillars, porches, right? You can see them. 1, 2, right? 3, 4, 5. You see the 5 porches, right, brothers and sisters? Right? The 5 porches. And then you see, in another image, you see the sheep gate, right? The sheep gate, or the sheep pool, the sheep gate, where all animals enter, and yeah, you see the place on the table to be slaughtered, brothers and sisters, right? The 5 porches. And then in another image, you see Mount Zion, right? So you see Mount Zion, you have the citadel, right? The citadel is before Mount Zion, as what the scripture says. You see, brothers and sisters. So how you know the true Mount Zion, Jerusalem. You see, brothers and sisters, right? And for side note, brothers and sisters, the Feast of Dedication, I know it says the Feast of Dedication in English, but in the Aramaic Bible, the Feast of Dedication is Hanukkah, right? Hanukkah, right? So how can we celebrate feast days when the Most High house lay desolate, like I was saying unto you, brothers and sisters, right? The Most High house lay desolate, right? Okay, brothers and sisters, take a look at the screen. Lamentation 1:4. Zion is desolate, right? The ways of Zion do mourn because none come to the solemn feast. You see that? The ways of Zion do mourn because none come to the solemn feast. Why none come to the? Because it's desolate, brothers and sisters. The Most High house is desolate. The land is desolate. The 144,000 not yet returned. Because the scripture says, the first time save thyself. And then in the other scriptures, the Most High said he's going to stretch for it and a second time to recover the remnant. So the first time, save yourself. If you have the means, save yourself. Go back to Zion. Build. You see, brothers and sisters. It's time for us to wake up and realize the reality of this. The scriptures are fulfilling daily, every day. So the ways of Zion do mourn because none come to the solemn feast. All her gates are what? Desolate. Right? The scripture also says that Jerusalem will be trampled down by the Gentiles for a period of time. As you can see, Jerusalem is occupied by the thieves right now. But it's two Jerusalem. The new and the old. The new one was built by the Edomites. We still got the old Jerusalem. Till they wait for us to return, 144. Wake up. Wake up. The ways of Zion do mourn because none come to the solemn feast. All her gates are desolate. Her peace sigh, her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness, brothers and sisters. Right? Okay, continue look on the screen. Lamentation 5:14-22. The elders have ceased from the gate, the young men from their music. The joy of our hearts is ceased. Our dance is turned into mourning. The crown is fallen from our head. Woe unto us that we have sinned. For this our heart is faint. For these things our eyes are dim, because of the mount of Zion which is desolate. Because of the mount of Zion which is desolate. Because of the mount of Zion which is desolate, brothers and sisters. The foxes walk up upon it. Thou, O Yahuwah, maintainest forever thy throne from generation to generation. Wherefore dost thou forget us forever and forsake us so long time? Turn thou us unto thee, O Yahuwah, and we shall be turned. Renew our days as of old. But thou hast utterly rejected us. Thou art very wroth against us. And rightfully so, because we are very stiff-necked, and we would not change for nothing. Therefore many of you shall be destroyed. It's just as simple, brothers and sisters. We turn to Yahuwah in Yahusha's name, ethnic Yisra'El. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's look at another scripture to solidify and drive home the message and knowledge that Mount Zion is desolate, brothers and sisters. Let's go to 1 Maccabees 4:36-51. That's 1 Maccabees 4:36-51, brothers and sisters. Then Judas and his brothers said, So it's a different Judas. It's not the Judas Iscariot. It's Judas, right? Two different Judas. Just like you have two Jerusalem. Two different Judas, right? Then Judas and his brothers said, "See, our enemies are crushed. Let us go up to cleanse the sanctuary and dedicate it." So all the army assembled and went up to Mount Zion. There they saw the sanctuary desolate. There they saw the sanctuary desolate, the altar profane, and the gates burned in the courts. They saw bushes sprung up as in a thicket, or as on one of the mountain. They saw also the chambers of the priests in ruins. Then they tore their clothes and mourned with great lamentation. They sprinkled themselves with ashes and fell face down on the ground. And when the signal was given with the trumpets, they cried out to heaven. Then Judas detailed men to fight against those in the citadel. There you go, the word again, citadel. So we're still on the topic of citadel. And what the citadel that we spoke about earlier in the lesson? Citadel is a fortress, brothers and sisters, right? A high ground protecting or dominating a city, citadel, right? And he said, then Judas detailed men to fight against those in the citadel until he had cleansed the sanctuary. The city is a fortress, Mount Zion. He chose blameless priests devoted to the law, and they cleansed the sanctuary, removed the defiled stones to an unclean place. They deliberated what to do about the altar of burnt offering, which had been profaned, and they thought it best to tear it down, so that it would not be a lasting shame to them that the Gentiles had defiled it. Right? So they tore down the altar and stored the stones in a convenient place on the temple hill until a prophet should come to tell what to do with it. Then they took unhewn stone as the Lord directed and built a new altar like the former one. They also rebuilt the sanctuary and the interior of the temple and consecrated the courts. They made new holy vessels and brought the lampstand, the altar of incense, and the table into the temple. Then they offered incense on the altar and lit the lamps on the lampstand, and these gave light in the temple. They placed the bread on the table and hung up the curtains. Thus they finished all the work they had undertaken. Right? Right, brothers and sisters? So let's continue. So you understand citadel now, right, brothers and sisters? Right? The description continues in verse 17, and it extended northward and went into En Shemesh and went to Gililoth, which is opposite the ascent of Adumim, and it went down to the stone of Bohan, the son of Reuben, and it continued to the side in front of the Arabah, northward, and went down to the Arabah, and the border continued to the side of Beth Hogla, northward, and the border ended at the north bay of the Salt Sea, at the south end of the Jordan. This was the border, the south border. Right? The border description ends in verses 20. Moreover, the Jordan was its border, and on the east side, this was the inheritance of the sons of Benjamin. The southern border of the tribe of Benjamin stretched all the way to the Jordan River in the east. The Jordan River in turn formed its eastern boundary. The southern frontier of Benjamin over time would merge with the northern frontier of the tribe of Benjamin. As you can see on the image, the map right there, brothers and sisters. You can see it clearly on the map, right? This border description of the tribe of Benjamin would come to be known as the land of Benjamin. In certain passages regarding the boundaries of the southern kingdom of Yehuda, Nadav Naaman points out Jeremiah's description of the border of Judah in Jeremiah 17:26. Right? They will come in from the city of Yehuda and in the environs of Jerusalem, from the land of Benjamin, from the lowland, from the hill country, and from the Negev. Right, brothers and sisters? Okay, brothers and sisters, so these verses echo similar description given in Joshua 10:40, 11:12, 16, 12:8, and also in Deuteronomy 1:7. Clearly, there were certain geographical descriptions which were familiar to most, if not all, ancient Hebrews. It is Naaman's belief Jeremiah was a contemporary of the author of the city list found in Joshua 15 and Joshua 18. Thus, the phrase land of Benjamin was used to denote a broad geographical area within the kingdom of Judah. The debate continues among scholars whether these geographical divisions also represent administrative districts within Judah's kingdom. Regardless, though the tribe of Benjamin was a part of the southern kingdom, it maintained the tribal autonomy of its borders, as evidenced by the phrase the land of Benjamin. So let's look at the list of towns of Benjamin. Let's go to Joshua 15, brothers and sisters, right? Okay, brothers and sisters, take a look at the screen. We're going to look at the list of the cities of Benjamin in Joshua 15, right? The cities of Judah, right? This was an inheritance of the tribe of the children of Judah according to their family. The cities at the limits of the tribe of the children of Yehudah towards the border of Edom. In the south were Kabzeel, Eder, Yakor, Kina, Dimona, Adada, Kiddish, Hazor, Aithonan, Ziph, Telem, Beeloth, Hazor, Hadattah, Kirioth, Hezron, Kiriath, Telem, Baloth, Hazar, Hadattah, Kirioth, Hezron, which is Hazor, Aman, Shema, Molada, Hazar, Kada, Hishmon, Beth Pelet, Hazar, Shual, Beersheba, right? Bizohathajah, Bela, Ihim, Izam, El Tolad, Chizil, Hormah, Ziklag, Madmana, Zanzana, Libahoth, Shilahim, Ain, and Raman. All the cities are 29 with their villages. In the lowland, Eshtoal, Zora, Ashna, Zanoah, En, Ginaim, Tapua, Inam, Jermoth, Abdullam, Sokor, Azekah, Sharahim, Adithahim, Gidara, and Gidarothiham, 14 cities with their villages: Zinam, Hadishah, Migdal, Gad, Dilian, Mizpah, Jothil, Lachish, Bozkath, Gilon, Eglon, Gaban, Lamas, Kitlish, Gidaroth, Beth Dagon, Nama, and Makada. 16 cities with their villages: Labna, Ether, Ashan, Yafata, Ashna, Nizib, Kila, Ashkazib, and Mereshah. 9 cities with their villages: Ekron with its town and villages, from Ekron to the sea, all that lay near Ashdod, and their villages: Ashdod and its town and villages. Gaza with its towns and villages as far as the brook of Mizraim, Egypt, and the Great Sea with its coastline, brothers and sisters, right? And in the mountain country, Shamer, Jeter, Sukkot, Dana, Kiriath, Sana, which is Debir, Anab, Eshtamoh, Anim, Goshen, Holon, and Gilah, 11 cities with their villages, and Arab, Duma, Ishen, Yunam, Beth, Tupa, Afika, Hamta, Kiryat Arba, which is Hebron, and Zorah, 9 cities with their villages, Mahon, Carmel, Zeph, Utah, Yezreel, Yukdem, Zanoah, Cain, Geber, and Timnah, 10 cities with their villages, Halhul, Beth Zor, Gibdor, Marath, Beth Hanoth, and El Tikan, 6 cities with their villages, Kiryat Baal, which is Kiryat Yerim, and Rabbah, 2 cities with their villages in the wilderness, Beth Harabah, Medin Sakar, Asikaka, Nebshen, the city of salt, and En Gideh, 6 cities with their villages. As for the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the children of Yehuda could not drive them out, but the Jebusites dwell with the children of Judah at Jerusalem to this day, brothers and sisters, right? So we just go over the list of the cities, right, of Judah, right, in Joshua 15, brothers and sisters, right? The tribe of Benjamin town list. The next section of Joshua 18 details with the cities found within the tribe of Benjamin. Scholars disagree as to the nature of these lists, just as they disagree as to the author of the book of Joshua. Regardless, it is not the intent of this article to argue in favor of Joshua's authorship, but rather to present the cities and different views of these cities within the tribe of Benjamin. Thus, different views and theories will be presented, though none dare claim truth over Elohim's word. The word stands true, brothers and sisters. Verse 21 opens the town list of the tribe of Benjamin. The list stretches to the verses 28 and includes 26 cities in all. One must always keep in mind when dealing with cities lists in the Old Testament that many locations remain unidentified while others are controversial at best. Now, the cities of the tribe of the sons of Benjamin, according to their families, were Jericho, Beth Hogla, and Emek Kiziz. These cities are those located in the Jordan Valley. The land of Benin was diverse as the valley plummeted from the mountains above. In a very short distance, Jericho was a strategically important city lay on the plains of the Jordan River. I could see on a map. Look at the screen, you see it on the map, brothers and sisters, right? You can see it on the screen, right? The map, right, brothers and sisters? The mountainous regions, right? It has shown occupation dating from 8,000 years ago. During the time of the Old Testament, it was the doorway to the heartland of Palestine. It has shown occupation dating from 8,000 years ago. During the time of the Old Testament, it was the doorway to the heart of Palestine. To the heartland of Palestine, roads from ancient Jericho branch in all directions into the highlands, thus opening all of Canaan to the north and south and as far west as the Mediterranean. It was through Jericho God instructed Joshua to enter Canaan. The Battle of Jericho began the southern campaign of the conquest of Yisra'El. Right? To the south of Jericho was Beth Hogla. This ancient city lay near the mouth of the Dead Sea. These cities were well watered by the Jordan and nearby streams, whereas the border's description started at Jericho and proceed north. The town list begins at ancient Jericho, then proceeds south. The next emphasis the city of Palms as a principal city within the tribe of Benjamin. Its security oftentimes determined the security of the entire area and the bordering tribes. The town list continues in verses 22 and 23. And Beth Harabah and Zamarihim, and Bethel and Havim and Para and Ophrah. Beth Harabah is a town mentioned both in the town list of the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Judah. We just read Joshua, 15:61, and we went over the list just now. Right? Beth Harabah in the wilderness of Judah. This region was closely connected to both Benjamin and Judah. That is why I always say to your brothers and sisters, when you talk about Judah, talk about Benjamin also, because it's one and the same. Even though Judah is the head tribe, Benjamin was there caught up in chattel slavery, and also Levi too, brothers and sisters, right? Scholars have offered the theory that both lists came from an original source which listed all cities together under the heading of the southern kingdom of Judah. That's exactly what we just talked about just now, right? Because Judah is the big brother. So Judah is the head tribe. However, the author of this particular portion, writing some years after this schism, tried his best to reflect the original document and mesh it with the current time period of writing. Naaman's argument that the dating of these town lists to Josiah's time, in that the cities mentioned best reflect this period in the history of Yisra'El from 1639 to 609 BC, but Haraba is not the only town which finds itself in multiple town listings for a variety of different reasons. Another such town is Bethel. Bethel is initially listed as belonging to the tribe of Benjamin. However, by the time of Judge Deborah, it is the tribe of Ephraim which seems to exert control over the city. You could read that in Judges 4:5. Likewise, the city of Adar is vague as to exactly which tribe it belongs to, Ephraim or Benjamin. The frontier was a fluid region where boundaries and loyalties seem to have shifted frequently. Right? Look at the screen and see a map. This map shows Benjamite cities with the tribal boundaries. King Saul was from Geber in the far west of the tribe's land. Interestingly, Jerusalem is said to have belonged to both the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Judah, brothers and sisters. That's very important to know, right? Naaman's claims another piece of evidence to support his theory. The town list of the tribe of Benjamin can be assigned to Josiah's reign by the names of certain cities reflecting the settlement of groups of deportees in southern or Mount Ephraim. On such city is in verse 23. Avim, Naam's claims, was named for the exiles from Ava who had been resettled in the land of Benjamin. Naaman points out Ava was a city on the Ungwa River near the Babylonian Elamite border. This would mean that the composition of this list could not have taken place before the Assyrian deportation by Sargon II, which took place during the year between 720 and 708 BC. Thousands of people were deported from the hill country of Ephraim, including within the tribe of Benjamin and the surrounding areas. In their place, thousands of people from throughout the Assyrian Empire were brought in to resettle the land as far as south as Bethel. These foreigners intermingled and married with the remnant of local Jews left over. This union over time produced the despised Samaritans of the New Testament. The story of these two-way deportation can be found in 2 Kings 17:24-41. Thus the town lists in Joshua reflect these times, whereas the border description themselves reflect the earlier times of the judges. So Naaman argues. Verses 24 and 5 continues the town list of the tribe of Benjamin. And Sephar, Ammoni, and Ophoni, and Geba, 12 cities with their villages, Gibeon, and Ramah, and Beroth. Chephar, Ammoni, and Ophni are also cities. Naaman's claim reflect the resettled population of Samaria. Ramah was a frontier city with the tribe of Benjamin during the days of King Baasha of Yisra'El, circa 906-883 BC. Ramah became a focal point of the northern kingdom. His thrust southward to fortify Ramah threatened Asa of Judah, circa 908-868 BC, who in turn pleaded to Ben-Hadad to put pressure on Baasha, the king of Aram. Damascus eagerly complied as Asha's request by invading northern portion of Yisra'El, and the northern fortification of Ramah was halted. The incident is recorded in 1 Kings 15, brothers and sisters. In turn, King Asa took the stones and resources left after the northern hasty retreat and built up the cities of Gibeah and Mizpah. Ramah was also the birthplace of the great prophet Samuel. Gibeah is listed in 1 Chronicles 6:65 as being one of the cities of the Levites given to the sons of Aaron from the tribe of Benjamin. The towns of Gibeon and Beeroth are of particular interest after Joshua's successful conquest of Jericho and their following of victory at Bethel and Ai. The neighbors took notice. Screen, brothers and sisters, if you look at your screen, you'll see an image of the Battle of Jericho, the gateway to Canaan, or formerly known as Yisra'El. Right? The Hivites were next in line as they occupied the city of Gibeon, Beeroth, Kiryat Yearim, and Sepharah. These towns schemed together and deceived Joshua in retreat into a treaty, preventing their destruction by Joshua. They pretended to be from a far-off land and sought no quarrels with Joshua or the Israelites. Joshua hastily agreed to their terms without consulting Elohim. His hastiness led Yisrael to accept the Hivites, thus violating Elohim's command to completely rid the land of the Canaanites. Gibeon is located 5 miles northwest of Jerusalem. It guarded a strategic pass connecting the central plateau with the Sheep-Helah. It was a walled town located on a small plateau. Terraces rise from the plain to the city above, as the city stood watch over the lands between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. It connected the valley with the coast, thus was heavily involved in the trade and commerce of the region. Beeroth was also a member of the Hivite League. The location of this city is in question, though it is thought by some to have been located just 8 miles north of Jerusalem. During the time of Solomon, Kiryat Yearim was converted to a fortress guarding the main approach to Jerusalem. The city is listed as belonging to both the tribe of Benjamin and Judah in the town list of Joshua. The city was probably smaller than Gibeon, yet sat on the Joppa-Jerusalem highway and was of equal strategic importance. Right? The town list continues in verses 26 and 27. And Mizpah and Chipera and Moza and Rakim and Erpil and Tarala. Mizpah was an important city of antiquity to the Benjamites. Samuel initially judged from Mizpah, though he traveled through the land frequently. He divided his time primarily between Mizpah and his birthplace of Ramah. Mizpah was also where Saul was anointed the first king of Israel by Samuel. Mizpah was a mere 8 miles north of Jerusalem and was a city of importance during the early days of ancient Israel. The books of 1 and 2 Samuel tells the story of Samuel, Saul, and David the Negus. Shiphrah was the final member of the Hivite League. It lay approximately 5 miles due west of Gibeon and guarded the main approach to Gibeon. The city was the least of the Hivite cities, yet its location deemed it of some strategic importance. The final verse concerning the town list of the tribe of Benjamin is found in verses 28. And Zelah, Hileph, and the Jebusite, that is Jerusalem, Gibeah, Kiryat, 14 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the sons of Benyamin according to their families. The list adds to the 26 cities in all. The added that is Jerusalem has been used by some scholars to signify the town list being constructed at a later date than the original border description. At the time of the composition of the border description, Jerusalem would not have been known by that time, but rather by the Canaanite name of Jebus or Jebus. The Canaanites settling in their region were the Jebusites. It is of no coincidence. Thousands of years later, Arafat would falsely claim descent from the Jebusites in a meager attempt to legitimize his claim on Jerusalem. You see? They're fighting over land that is not theirs, brothers and sisters. Right? But the children of Yisra'El, the son of Hebrew slave, we shall reclaim our land. But now is not the time. Our focus is coming back to these laws, commandments, and statutes because the Most High is working on our behalf, brothers and sisters. And many of you shall not be saved. Many of you shall be destroyed because you continue in the stiff-necked ways and will not change for nothing. The early history of ancient Jerusalem or Jebus is uncertain. Joshua 15:63 and Judges 1:21 makes it clear neither the men of Judah nor the men of Benjamin could drive the Jebusites from their stronghold. However, Judges 1:8 tells how the men of Judah struck Jebus with the edge of the sword and set the city on fire. The two verses would seem to contradict each other. A plausible scenario may be that for whatever reason the men of Judah did not occupy the site. Once they burned it down, the Jebusites thus rebuilt the burned city, apparently taking more defense measures than previously, for the men of Judah and Benjamin were unable to conquer the city despite later attempts. Thus the city continued to be associated with the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Judah, and the scripture suggests the area was occupied by both for some time. It wasn't until the time of David that the Jebusite stronghold fell to the Israelites. You see, brothers and sisters, right? If you take a look at the screen, brothers and sisters, you see an ancient map of Jerusalem, tribe of Benjamin, right? It was David's men that snuck into the city through a water shaft leading from the city's main water sources into the city of itself. Upon opening the gates of Jebus, the men of Judah stormed the city and claimed it for David. The city of David was expanded over time to include the Temple Mount. From here on out, the city of Jerusalem was thought of in terms of Judah. Jerusalem, like Bethel, was a powerful city originally within the tribe of Benjamin, yet eventually absorbed by another tribe. Right? Another town list of interest is found in Isaiah 10:29-32. Isaiah started prophesying circa 787 BC. He covered the reigns of Uzziah, Jotham, and a bit of Hezekiah, as the year covered are approximately 787 to 741 BC. Right, brothers and sisters? The end of his career is not known, though Jewish legend has it he was martyred by King Manasseh circa 696 to 642 BC. His primary focus was the Assyrian threat to Yisra'El and Judah. He spoke concerning the fate of some cities found within the tribe of Benjamin in chapter 10. He has come against Ayath. He has passed through Megron at the Mishmash. He deposited his baggage. They have gone through the pass, saying, Gibeah will be our lodging place. Ramah is terrified, and Gibeah of Saul has fled away. Cry aloud with your voice, O daughter of Gulim. Pay attention, Lachish, and wretched Anathoth. Madmenah has fled. The inhabitants of Gibeon have sought refuge. Yet today he will halt at Nub. He shakes his fist at the mountain of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem. Nadav Naaman points out the discrepancy of this list compared to the list in Joshua. The only side common to the two lists are Gibeon, and Ramah. Some scholars have argued that a district is missing from the tribe of Benjamin out of the Joshua town list that is represented in the Isaiah list. Naaman, however, claimed it is not a district but simply a group of towns that are absent from the Joshua list. His reason for this is the state of affairs in the region after the Assyrian invasion. Isaiah spoke prior to the invasion. It is what he prophesied about. He foresaw the destruction of Yisra'El, and these cities were included in that destruction. Thus, these cities would not appear in a town list composed after the destruction and deportation of the ruthless Assyrian war machine. Right? Naaman argues this is evidence the town list in Josiah or Joshua is from a later time than the town list of the tribe of Benjamin found in Isaiah. Isaiah predates Josiah by approximately a century and a half. Right? The tribe of Benjamin Levitical cities. The sons of Aaron were to receive 13 cities from among sons of Yisra'El. Their portion of city came from the tribe of Benjamin, Judah, and Simeon. The Aaronites received 4 cities from the tribe of Benjamin. Those 4 cities are listed in Joshua 21:17-18. And from the tribe of Benjamin, Gibeon with its passage or his pastor's land, Gibah with its pastor's land, Anathoth with its pastor's lands, and Almon with its pastor's land, 4 cities. However, in 1 Chronicles 6:60, Gibeon is not mentioned, only Gibah, Anathoth, and Almon, which is called Alemeth. Naaman points out the inclusion of Gibeon in the Joshua list is in accordance with how things were during the reign of Josiah as well. Anathoth possesses an interesting history of its own. The city was located about 3 miles north of Jerusalem with the tribe of Benjamin. Abiathar was from Anathoth. Abiathar was a priest and close associate of King David. However, he chose to follow the uprising of Adonijah, and in 1 Kings 2:26 he is banished to Anathoth by Solomon. It is also interesting to note that Jeremiah was from the lineage of priests in Anathoth. The tribe of Benjamin produced not only kings of Israel, but some of its great prophets and priests as well, brothers and sisters. Right? So, I hope this Shabbat lesson bless you. It was a long one, brothers and sisters. I have to admit, I haven't done a long one in a while. As you can notice, short my videos, It's been short videos, but impact filled with message and knowledge that I hope you can go and do your own research yourself. You see, but the land of Benjamin is important to us ethnic Israel, the son of Hebrew slaves in the last days, because that's where Mount Zion is. You understand? That's where the gathering of the 144,000 will be. And the remnant that's after them. You see, brothers and sisters. So we must prepare our hearts and mind and soul to come back to these laws, commandments, and statutes, and to keep them, brothers and sisters. Implement them in your lives. You see, for the time is at hand. The judges are around the corner. Wake up, ethnic Israel. Wake up, ethnic Israel. Both so-called black men and so-called black women come together in unit. and keep his laws, commandments, and statutes, and teach your children, and your children might teach their children. Right? So on that note, Bruk Yahuwah Tizivaho, Bruk Yahusha Mashiach, Shina, Vishina, blessed love and shalom.